And it's this is the Melo, this is the Allen Iverson, right? Where you still have production like value. Where listen, I can still go on any team and still give you what you need, but sometimes the production and how you approach the games. If you're not on the right team, these guys don't want to hear that, right? Everybody don't need that type of let's get it done in a locker room style.
Gilbert Arenas talks about Russell Westbrook being a free agent. Check out what he had to say, and then I'll come back with my comments.
So you mentioned Russell Westbrook.
Mm-hmm.
Be remiss if we didn't give Russ some love. Yeah. So his report came out that he basically opted out of that final year with the Nuggets because they more or less told him he was going to be a bench player and wasn't going to get that much burn. Russell Westbrook still not on a team in Adam Silver's NBA. KD asked recently about reuniting with Westbrook with the Rockets, said he would be down for it. Rockets don't have bread right now to make that move happen. Won't be able to do that, I think, until at least December, if I'm not mistaken. 15th-ish to add another point guard. We've said Amen Thompson can hold down the fort until then. Obviously, FVV out for the season, most likely. But
it's sad.
That's and Westbrook, the UCLA guy, former MVP, 4 seasons with a triple-double. Played solid last year.
And these are those moments, man, where you have to be mindful of how you enter in every season, right? If you enter in these seasons right here as a superstar or a veteran that's trying to help.
Yeah, if you're Russell Westbrook, I think he overplayed his hand, thinking that he was going to find another team that quick after opting out of that Nuggets deal. I think he should have just went ahead and signed, been a professional. He knows that he's not going to be a starter anymore in this league, so the same role that he may have had a little bit of a lesser role, but if you get 10, 15 minutes a night, make the most out of it. As long as Russell Westbrook get a couple assists, get a couple points, he's good. He may make a magical 3 from time to time, but that's your role in the NBA right now. So, again, Russell Westbrook wasn't a good fit in LA with the Lakers, and I think that kind of dirtied up his name. You already know how LeBron James is. When he wants you on the team, he'll go all out. Once he wants you off the team, he's going to exile you. He's pretty much going to snap his fingers, and you're going to be out of that organization. So Russell Westbrook time with the Lakers, I think that kind of messed him up. He found some success with the Clippers, with the Nuggets, even before the Lakers had a good season in Washington and with the Rockets a few years ago. So I know the whole KD thing, he was more saluting him, but I don't think he wants to play with Russell Westbrook because that's the reason why he left OKC. So that was the beginning stages of Russell Westbrook's name being dirtied in the media.
And this is the Melo, this is the Allen Iverson, right? Where you still have production like value. Where listen, I can still go on any team and still give you what you need, but sometimes the production and how you approach the games. If you're not on the right team, these guys don't want to hear that, right? Everybody don't need that type of let's get it done in a locker room style, right? There's only a few organizations that can handle that. Him going to Milwaukee, that could be a good, that can be a good fit, right? Where, he don't have to worry about taking over that locker room because you have Giannis who's about that work. Miami, Orlando, right? That team probably need a player like him, right, to help them get over that childlike attitude, especially when they're playing. All right.
I would say, if we're just talking, I'm not even talking about playing like heavy workload, but just to have a guy with that mentality in the locker room, like a team like Detroit, even. I'm saying like somebody just give me that mentality.
Yeah, but you already like him on Detroit makes them more like, them are gonna be some little psychopaths out there, man. They already crazy. Already crazy. You don't need somebody like Westbrook who's putting like that battery in their back. Like
put it in there. Put it in there.
Boston could use Westbrook. And when I'm saying use him, what he brings to the team and where they were, and like they were a team about like we are Boston Celtics, this is who we are. And you're talking about they lost a superstar and they need somebody to give them that row to let them know who they are. That could be his role. Like, yo, look, we got this on our chest. Let's go out there and do what we got to do.
Yeah, those are some decent teams. But again, he wants to go to a team to where, all right, if I'm going to be on the bench, I got to get at least, 20, 25 minutes. He wants to play borderline starter minutes from the bench and have a huge role. He wants the ball in his hands at times. Russell Westbrook is best when he has the ball in his hands. But if you want him to kind of play off the ball, he's decent, but not that efficient enough. He has to be making a decision. So I think Russell Westbrook is still stuck in his ways, but he's found some success being on the bench. So I like those fits. Maybe the Milwaukee Bucks and Houston Rockets. Those would be the best two locations for Russell Westbrook, only because he's going to get borderline starter minutes from the bench, playing key moments, and they got a good rotation going leading to the end of the game. You're probably going to keep Russell Westbrook in unless he makes one of those bonehead mistakes, turns the ball over, or takes a crazy shot. Other than that, as long as Russell Westbrook can stay within the flow of the team, he can play down the crunch time moments of a game. So I like the Rockets, but it's only going to be if KD wants him on that team. He's just being nice in the media, but if KD wants Russ on that team, especially with Fred VanVleet being out for the season, I think that'd be the best fit because he's going to get a lot of minutes.
And he can give them that six-man spirit where, they feel like, yo, hey, it's us versus the world mentality. Timberwolves, hey, I mean, there's a few teams that he can help them elevate, right? Where they need someone more. We don't need your play, we need your spirit.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. But the thing is, I'm sure, Russ actually wants to get out there. I know he still feels like he's got a lot he can contribute to a team. But even from that standpoint, I want a guy who shows up to work every day. We've heard nothing but good things about Russ as a teammate. You talk about Bradley Beal and his time with the Wizards, and Russ coming in there and letting it be known like this is the guy. Give him the rock. I just feel like for a young guard that's up and coming to learn that work ethic. Obviously, the best ability is availability, and just for me, sad to see the stigma around Westbrook, especially last season. Had a solid year with the Nuggets. We heard the reports that Jokic wanted Westbrook on that squad when that thing first went down. We didn't really know. A lot of people didn't know how to feel about it. You talk about a Nugget squad. If Aaron Gordon doesn't get hurt, their season might look a lot different as well. And West would have been a part of that. And it's the Russell Westbrook experience, ladies and gentlemen, the good with the bad.
Well, it may not be over for the Nuggets, even though he opted out of that deal. Maybe they may bring him back on board. I think he had a 1 year 3.5 that he opted out of. All right, let's sign you for a little bit less than that. He may have to take a little less just to stay in the league. So maybe things will be different. Let's say he takes the first few months of the season off as a free agent. Maybe before that deadline happens to where free agents can join a team, maybe Russ could be in the league sometime next year or around the trade deadline. So it ain't over for Russ yet. But again, he can't overplay his hand. He really has no margin for error as far as business-wise which team he's going to go with. I know he just doesn't want to go anywhere, but you got to go somewhere. There are some decent fits for Russ, but he has to understand his role is going to be limited. He may have a couple DMPs at this point in his career, even though he's a great point guard. It's crazy how Bronny James is in the league. Maybe Russell Westbrook should sign with Clutch Sports and Rich Paul. Maybe he should reach out to LeBron James. Who knows? Maybe he can find a way back in the NBA.
Similar to kind of how JaVale McGee got done with Shaq and the Fool, I think we really key in on the bad Westbrook stuff, but don't appreciate all the other stuff that he brings to the table. But and people on the chat say no one likes him. I don't think that's true. I think the fans have this narrative about him, but from an organizational standpoint, you got a guy that shows up to practice every day, works hard, good guy in the locker room with other players.
I think he probably miscalculated, right? The value of him, right? Opting out of his money without any suitors, right? And with Russ, it's hard with Russ because sometimes it's not about the money with him; it's just about the opportunity. So I'm pretty sure he got calls and he's like, "I'm good." Right, he wants to play, right? And you at that time where, man, sometimes you might have to sacrifice a year to get the gain 4 more years. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you're at a point in your career where you're hanging on by a thread, and you might need to be in a role that gains you 4 more survival years, right?
That's a good point by Gil. And it's going to come to a point to where, you know what? This ain't the best team for me, but I already said no a few times to a few teams, so I'm only limited to a few spots on a team. So, you know what? He may have to go to one of these teams like the Detroit Pistons. He may have to go to a team to where they already got their point guard and their backup. I'm just there as that locker room guy, someone that's going to try to keep the spirits up. But most importantly, he's going to have to keep his spirits up, because if he goes to a team that's already set, but they don't mind having Russ on the team just out of respect, he has to understand that there will be some DMPs. He may not play for, out of a 20-game stretch. He may only play about 10 games, 11 games, and he has to be okay with that. How bad does he want to be in the NBA? Is he just looking for a good fit, or is he trying to be on the NBA team? Russ is better than a lot of point guards in the league, young guys and vets, but he wants things a certain way. And at this point of your career, he already knew what it was. You can't just go on any team and you're going to be a starter or a rotational player playing borderline starter minutes. That's not going to happen right now for Russell Westbrook.
Right?
But wouldn't one think that was what he was doing going to the Nuggets, even that signing that 2-year janky bread deal? Russ turned 37 he's turning 37 in November. But I was playoff team. I was contributing. I was doing my thing. I think they had a solid record with him in the starting lineup.
He did some good and he did some real bad, right? There was moments where he was really good and there was moments where he looked really bad and people like, damn, that cost us wins, right? So I get that. Now, what I'm saying is sometimes he's at a point where he might need to take a less role. What I mean by that, let's say he goes to Orlando, right? He goes to Orlando or Boston, and him being there gives this extra boost, and he's the best teammate. He's the one cheering everybody on. He's doing all these things, and he gets them to the Eastern Conference Finals or the chip, and everybody's writing on how he was so important to them getting there. That right there, that narrative right there, then got us 3 to 4 more years.
Yeah, essentially he's going to have to be a cheerleader at this point in his career, or at least for a season, or maybe join a team, and by the trade deadline, maybe other teams will know it's like, okay, he's played that role to the best of his abilities. Now, maybe there may be other suitors out there, either by a trade deadline or by next summer. So, again, Russ, mentally be prepared for that. Know that you're not going to play a lot. Know that you're going to be a cheerleader, essentially, rooting for your peoples on the court, talking to them behind the scenes. If Russ can play that role for this season, Gil has a point. Maybe that can open up another 3 or 4 years. You see what Chris Paul is doing out there. Every team that he goes to, even at age 40, he's getting a lot of minutes back with the Clippers, and he's going to play a role behind James Harden. So, again, Russ, still a great point guard, but in this day and age, teams have moved on, a lot more talent out there. They're not really looking for Russell Westbrook to be what he was 10 and 15 years ago. Russ is going to have to be in that new role, and he has to accept it.